Welcome, everyone, to the session on trade and export opportunities in Nigeria's agricultural sector. As part of the virtual scoping to Nigeria, my name is Kabiru Ademo, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. While not moderating, my other job is as the local coordinator for the Seeds for Change Impact Cluster, which is being implemented by the Netherlands African Business Council in northern Nigeria, and it's aimed at increasing the yield and quality of produce and horticultural value chain through high quality hybrid vegetable seeds and biological crop protection. We are joined today by an interesting set of speakers. I would like to welcome Mr. Zubairu Abdullahi from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, who is representing Dr. Ernest A. Umakihe, and Mr. Niels van den Bosch from CropNut AgriServe Limited to the session. Thank you both for joining us. I'm also delighted to announce that we are joined by a panel of expert representatives from the New Generation Nutrition, NGN, Prime Agro Seeds, Oral SPA, and Secometal Nigeria Limited. During the panel discussion, we will be asking the speakers to share more information about their current activities in Nigeria, key challenges, and lessons learned. It is great to have you all here with us. Before I give the word to Mr. Zubairu Abdullahi, I will quickly like to inform you all of a few technical points. Kindly know that all attendee microphones and cameras are switched off. We do, however, very much encourage you to actively participate in today's session by introducing yourself via the chat function and using the Q&A function to ask questions to me or the speaker. You can do this on the platform via the attendee tab. Here you can look for other attendees and speakers and schedule private meetings. This feature is, however, only available to attendees joining the session via the platform. In case you're expecting or experiencing any technical issues, do let us know in the chat and someone will assist you. Also, this session is being translated into Italian. If you wish to follow the Italian translation, make sure to switch to Italian by clicking the button at the bottom of your screen. Similarly, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded. Finally, please be sure to provide feedback on this session, the speakers via the feedback tab button on the platform or via the Q&A session. This mission is brought to you by the MATCH project. It's a 3-year circular immigration project funded by the European Commission. For more information, please visit the exhibition area and reach out to one of the project focal points. With that being said, I hereby would like to give the word to Mr. Zubairu Abdullahi, who is the Director, Planning and Policy Coordination in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, to give a broad overview of Nigeria's agri-food sector within the next 10 minutes. Mr. Zubairu Abdullahi, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Can you hear me very well?
Crystal clear, we can, yes.
Yes, can you hear me very well now?
Yes, we can, very clearly.
Okay, because I'm having little challenges with voice here and the image. So we're trying to connect to the desktop. So, but in the meantime, I'll start using my phone because I have just 10 minutes, like you said. So should I continue?
Yes, please, proceed.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to be here to represent my permanent secretary, who is unavoidably absent. He is on assignment in another part of the country. He asked me to extend his apologies, which I'm sure you have received it. He said it is his pleasure to be part of this auspicious event organized by the International Organization for Migration, the Netherlands Africa Business Council, and the Unioncamere Piemonte. And for me to make a presentation on Nigeria's agro-foods, opportunities and challenges during the trade and export opportunities in Nigeria's agricultural sector session. Now, I will start by telling all of us, reminding all of us that Nigeria has a huge potential in agriculture with over 84 million hectares of arable land, of which 40% only is cultivated, and a population of over 200 million, making it Africa's largest market with 230 billion cubic meters of water, making it one of the richest sources of agricultural growth in the country. The agricultural sector currently accounts for 24.14% of the nation's GDP and 75% of the total non-oil exports. The gross domestic product for agriculture in Nigeria averaged US $17.6 billion from 2010 to 2015, and reaching an all-time high of 23 billion in the first quarter of 2014. This is a brief of what the kind of potentialities agriculture in Nigeria has for any intended investor. Now, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we get the guide, the direction, and the policy statement from the President himself. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria once said, the future of Nigeria is in agriculture. This underscores why our commitment to developing agriculture in the country and creating an enabling environment for private sector to participate remain one of the key objectives of this administration and the ministry. Now, the President also said, grow what we eat and eat what we grow. That is indirectly saying, minimize export, promote what we eat so that we could save our foreign reserve. And you also know that the country has some of the richest natural resources for agricultural production in the world. Nigeria's agriculture and agribusiness landscape provides opportunities for potential new entrants and standing investors across the three agricultural subsectors of crops, livestock, and fisheries, and its value chain segments of upstream production, midstream storage, processing, packaging, and downstream marketing and distribution. Now, among the area of Nigeria agro-foods are the following, that any investor could step into this and make a huge amount of profit out of it. Rice, Nigeria, with 200 million population of Nigeria, you can never satisfy Nigeria with rice because there is always increased demand for rice. Sesame, that is widely produced in the middle belton part of Nigeria, and is one of the things that are well sought of by countries outside Nigeria. I will just mention a few of them: cashew, maize, groundnut, ginger. Nigeria is the largest producer of yam, cassava, and rice. Rice, we are number 9 in the world now. So sugarcane and many other products. I just gave you a range of these products for will be investors to see where Nigeria has comparative advantage. Now, areas of investment opportunities in agriculture could be categorized in 2 different areas: upstream and midstream, and then downstream into 3. Now, the upstream, you have the production side, large-scale commercial production. Any investor willing to participate in this area is highly welcome. We have the land, we have the resources, we have human resource to support in this area. Input service delivery, the input service delivery, there is a huge gap between what the farmers need and what is available. So input service delivery is key in promoting agriculture. It's also another opportunity for a would-be investor. Fertilizer manufacturing, Nigeria is a country with large number of farmlands that are highly dependent on fertilizer production for the production of their crops. At the same time, Nigeria is yet to meet its need. We have on stream now Dangote Fertilizer Company, but the blending companies downstairs are needed to help produce enough that will meet the needs of the farmers. Then under research, development of market infrastructures, special agro-processing zones is also key. There are new agro-processing zones that are coming on board that will require investors to participate in the area so that the farmers could have the best of the attention in the agro-processing zones. Then biofuel development, ethanol and biodiesel. Under midstream, we have storage, community housing, especially now that the country is restructuring and revitalizing its commodity exchange. So there is a huge opportunity for investing on community warehousing of food items, especially water-laden crops. then conditioning centers. Then under processing, we need a lot of cottage industries that will serve as off-takers to what is produced in the farm, agro-industrial parks, and large-scale processing mills. We believe an investment in this area will add value to what the farmers could get. Nigeria could benefit in getting high income because of the improvement in the value of what is producing. Then the market distribution itself, market chain development, especially the one that will link the producers to the processors and eventually to the consumers. So these are all investment opportunities for all of us to see. Some of the private sector investment in the Nigerian agriculture and agribusiness sector include the following. Currently, there is a $500 billion worth of investment in fertilizer manufacturing, currently ongoing by Dangote Group, Indorama, Notori Chemicals, and others. There is also a company, Olam, which has invested over $70 million in mechanized rice farming. Then there is also Dangote. Dangote also has invested $1 billion for large-scale rice production. Then Teregaro, a subsidiary of Transcorp Group, has established a $6 million plant to process oranges into concentrates. Dangote invested 217 billion sugarcane plantation and factory in Nasarawa State. Why are we mentioning this? It is for people that are interested in investing in Nigeria to know that Nigeria has so far succeeded in creating an enabling environment for any would-be investor to step into agricultural production, to step into agro-processing, so that at the end of the day, the country will benefit and then the investor will benefit with a lot of incentives that will protect the investor in the country. It is worthy of note that there is a renewed focus.
In progress.
It is worthy of note that there is a renewed focus by the federal government to concentrate on the non-oil sector of the Nigerian economy, and the agro industry is experiencing renaissance with dedicated government policies towards encouraging farm investors and increasing the contribution of agriculture sector to the domestic product. Government is committed to addressing the challenges in the areas of value addition processing, quality control, standardization, market information and access, wastages and post-harvest losses, commodity storage and transportation, agro-exports, agricultural inputs, and climate change. Yes. Now, agribusiness incentives. The government of Nigeria has also succeeded in creating a very strong enabling environment that will encourage companies to come and invest and to retain the investment. I will give you a rundown of some of these things. Number one, companies in the agro-allied business do not have their capital allowance restricted. It is granted in full, that is 100%. Investors get tax relief on their tangible capital expenditure. Tax is only deducted against their annual taxable income. Secondly, agribusiness is tax-free. The payments of minimum tax by companies that make small owner profits at all do not apply to agro-allied business. Then thirdly, agro-allied plant and equipment enjoy enhanced capital allowances of up to 50%. Then the processing of agricultural produce is a pioneer industry. Consequently, there is 100% tax-free period for 5 good years. Now, tax relief for research and development. Agro-allied industries that attain minimum levels of local material sourcing and utilization enjoy tax credit, amount of money that investors are permitted to subtract from their income taxes that they have. Now, again, up to 75% guarantee to all loans granted by commercial banks for agricultural production and processing under the Agriculture Credit Guarantee Scheme administered by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, expatriate quota and resident permits in respect of expatriate personnel engaged by agro-allied companies also. Then there is also a corporate tax incentives rebate of 12%, which shall be enjoyed by bakers on attainment of 40% cassava blend within a period of 18 months. Then there is also a personal remittance quota for expatriate personnel. free from any tax imposed by any enactment for the transfer of external currency out of Nigeria. Then agricultural machinery and equipment being imported into Nigeria is adequately covered by the waiver in compliance with the policy of fiscal incentives for priority sector of the economy as contained in the 2016 fiscal policy measures, such as zero duty on agricultural machinery, equipment, and spare parts of the chapter 84, 85, and 90 of the ECOWAS Common External Tariff, CET. Now, why should you invest in Nigeria? All the people that are participating in this workshop, and particularly the people that are interested in investment, will ask that question: why should you invest in Nigeria? Now, I will start by telling you because there is an availability of arable land across the country, including 3.14 million hectares of irrigatable land. Then the second thing, favorable weather condition that supports all year round agricultural activities. Then known and mapped out soil characteristics across the country to guide crop cultivation. Now, supportive government policy that is geared towards encouraging mechanized farming and agribusiness. I mentioned them earlier. Then huge demand because there is a gap between the supply of agricultural produce and the industrial activities. There is a huge gap there. And Nigeria has highly diversified agroecological conditions, which make it possible for the production of wide range of agro-commodities. And again, Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. It is the largest market in Africa with a population of about 206 million, among others. I want to say thank you, and I hope with this presentation I've convinced you to agree with me that investing in Nigeria is a worth investment, and it's the best thing that can happen to anybody who is interested in maximizing his profit. I thank you so much, and for now I will wait for comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zubairu. That was very, very insightful, and I can see a lot of questions and opinions coming your way. Okay. Thanks a lot for that. So our next speaker is Mr. Niels van den Bos. He's the business manager of Crop Nuts AgriServe Limited, which is part of IITA's business incubation platform. We'll further discuss existing platforms for local cooperation. And Mr. Niels, I think you can take over at this point to shed some insight on that perspective of that. Thanks. Hello, Niels.
Hi, thank you very much, Kabir. I hope I'm clear.
Yep, clear.
Great, excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be presenting a little bit on the local cooperation structure of the business incubation platform of IITA. Indeed, like Kabir mentioned, my name is Niels van den Bos. I'm the business manager for Crop Nuts AgriServe, which is part of the business incubation platform. I would like to start out with mentioning that I'm presenting on behalf of the CEO of Business Incubation Platform, Mr. Frederik Scheurs. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend, so I made and will present on his behalf. So to start out, BIP is part of the IITA, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. Now, this is part of the CGIAR consortium. Yeah, business incubation platform was established in 2013 as a technology delivery arm of IITA. So IITA is, in fact, I think most of you will know it, is an international research institute, the largest in Africa, operating across the whole of Africa, with their headquarters in Ibadan, Nigeria. And in 2013, they set up the business incubation platform as becoming the delivery arm of IITA. Now, what does that mean? It implies that all the research and technologies developed by the institute would be commercialized through this platform. So, in fact, commercializing the research for development findings to the public private sector in Nigeria and Africa-wide. And in doing so, establishing full-scale production facilities for adoption and replication by the private sector. So in that sense, there are basically three major outputs of the BIP. First one, and it's important one, is creating jobs with the support of these new technologies. The second one is to make the technologies known and disseminate them. And the third one is actually generate an income to make the business incubation platform a sustainable company. And for this last sector, I also want to refer back that this would then redirect towards funding the research by IITA. On the picture, you will see the part of the IITA campus where you will also see business incubation platform and the different companies. So how does the BIP actually work? First of all, I want to mention they take on a multi-stakeholder partnership approach. So they stimulate the product development and then also focus on the market expansion. They provide expertise and they provide training in as well farm management, but also commercial agriculture. So as you will see in the diagram, IITA provides the innovation, so research, so to say, and BIP makes a commercial company out of it. However, BIP doesn't only work with research coming from IITA, they also work with other already established private sector players, and also with other CGIAR centers. So just to give an overview of the different companies which came out of IITA or with which they're cooperating. First of all, it's CropNuts AgriServe. As mentioned, I'm the business manager of this company, and it's actually we actually provide agricultural lab analysis consultancies. Then we have AgriServe, which provides technical expertise in farm management. Then we have GoSeed, which provides improved seed varieties. Then Aflasafe, which is a product against aflatoxins, a biocontrol product against aflatoxins. With Aflasafe, I need to mention that they've actually outgrown the BIP, so they're now within the private sector completely. I will come back to that later. And then we have Nodemax, which is a lagoon inoculant. We also have tissue culture services. Now, this is then also an example of an external partner with which the BIP cooperates, and it's a Contact Agro, it's the company. And the final company is NGN that provides insect feed. So I'm going to refer back to a couple of these examples to discuss how these local cooperations have actually been set up. So first of all, CropNuts AgriServe. CropNuts AgriServe is actually a joint venture between the business incubation platform and CropNuts in Kenya. And CropNuts in Kenya is a commercial laboratory testing, the largest in sub-Saharan Africa. They have over 20 years of experience, are ISO accredited, and they provide different services like soil, water, and fertilizer analysis, also provide mobile farm labs, soil mapping, land suitability surveys. So they're well established. However, to actually make sure that they can get the same services in West Africa, they set up this joint venture with Business Incubation Platform. So now we're operating in Nigeria and act as a hub for the whole of West Africa. Now you might be wondering what is so interesting about soil analysis, or what is so innovative about it. If you consider that less than 1% of the farmers in the whole of Africa have ever done a soil analysis test, and if you also consider that 45% of yield loss is oftentimes related to soil fertility, you see there's an enormous gap to be filled in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. And I mean, if you're interested in this, you can also, after the whole seminar, maybe Google how many ISO accredited labs there are in Nigeria. And considering the enormous size of the country, there are not enough. So this is one of the examples of a local cooperation. The other one was Aflasafe, as mentioned. Aflasafe is once again a biocontrol product against the problem of aflatoxin. So Aflasafe cuts down aflatoxin levels in maize and groundnuts by 80 to 100%. I'm sure within this seminar, many people have heard about aflatoxins, but I can assure you that if you ask A random person on the street, they've never heard about it, yet it remains an enormous problem. So in that sense, AflaSafe, as being a very safe and natural solution, is a fantastic innovation which has been implemented. And just to give an idea of the different phases that this technology went through, once it was developed by IATA, a pilot was set up called agribusiness, where they used a pull mechanism to actually introduce it within the country, to scale it up in the country. So in a nutshell, it meant that with this pull mechanism, they approached the factory for AflaSafe set up in IATA, and they approached local implementers from the private sector, who then bought AflaSafe very cheaply, who then sold it on credit to their smallholder farmers, who started using it, who started getting introduced to it. And then on the credit system based, once the yield was ready, many of these implementers would buy back the yield and sell it off to a premium market. So in that sense, AflaSafe really kickstart the premium market and also sensitize the public on not only the dangers of aflatoxins, but also the availability of AflaSafe. So this pilot ran from 2013 to 2019. Actually, already in 2015, they set up ATTP, which is the AflaSafe Technology Transfer and Commercialization Project. And the idea was basically the same, was to facilitate the transfer of this technology, not only in Nigeria, but Africa-wide. This ran from 2015 to 2020. And as mentioned, AflaSafe is now an independent unit. It's outgrown out of the BIP, and they're now fully involved in the private sector. So IATA actually signed a 5-year licensing agreement with Harvestfield Industries to be able to manufacture, so produce and distribute AflaSafe in Nigeria, and they even do aflatoxin testing. So a third example I just wanted to talk about quickly is Nodomox. This is a biofertilizer and legume inoculant, specifically for soybean production. And as you can see on the picture on the right top of your screen, it boosts the yields anywhere between 30 to 40%. Now Nodomox has been around for a while now, sold over 35 tons to more than 70,000 farmers across Africa. Why did I actually select this product as an example? Once again, because Nodomox set up a local corporation, a joint venture with Springfield Agro. And Springfield Agro is able to enable them for the production, the marketing, and the distribution sales in both Nigeria and Africa at large. And then the final example I wanted to talk about is the cooperation between the Business Incubation Platform and NGN. So I sort of like this project because it's the idea is to kickstart a sustainable insect production through an incubation program. So, and this would then lead towards high quality and affordable feed resource for both the poultry and the aquaculture industry, and create local jobs. So how it works really is you set up like a plant or an industry where you have insects like the black soldier fly. They're attracted and feed from local waste. This then creates two products, either frass or larvae. The frass can actually be used directly to increase the soil fertility, and the larvae can be used to produce feed for the poultry industry and the aquaculture industry. This is a very short diagram to discuss that. But the interesting thing about it, the key factors which come into play is the circular economy approach here, that you're using waste to make something else. I think that's a very unique and interesting approach that the private sector should look more into, not only in agriculture, but in multiple industries in Nigeria. Another key factor is the fact that they're encouraging young entrepreneurs to take this up. The local adaptation of international expertise, getting experts into this industry, training and incubation, and of course the market linking. Now, to put a little bit more context of this, There are basically a couple of horizons. The first one involves all around research activities. So looking how the product is actually produced, what the effects are. Then comes the second horizon, which is setting up the business development. And this is where BIP comes into play. So you have, it's actually the business incubation platform that is setting up demonstration farms at IITA with IITA youth agripreneurs. And they will take it up to the rest of the market. So the first 15 trainees or cohort of trainees will be ready at the second quarter of this year. Now, third horizon is actually input industry. So enabling and developing the supporting input industry and also setting up technical backstopping services. Now, the fourth one is markets and scaling. So the engagement of different stakeholders, for example, the poultry producers, feed millers, fish producers, basically to introduce the product to the market and scale it out. And the last one is the actual industry development, and the idea behind that is setting up a central platform to which different challenges can be addressed and experiences can be shared. And this should enable to kickstart this market. So these are just for very quick examples. I don't have the unfortunately don't really have the time to go into them in detail due to the 10-minute limit. But I just quickly want to discuss some of the lessons that were actually learned for successful local cooperation. And to start with that, I think it's been said a couple of times in this seminar already, but agriculture is absolutely making a comeback in Nigeria. Not saying it's easy, not saying it goes fast, but it's clear there's something happening, there's developments coming up. And there's need to diversify the economy, and agriculture plays a very good ability to close that gap. And of course, there are multiple opportunities, which we'll get back to now. So the lessons learned, they might be a little bit obvious, and they've already might have been discussed by multiple panelists or speakers in this session or in this webinar, but they're very true, I think. So first one is the incubation of yields and profit increasing technologies coming from research. Now, the research aspect is so important as it actually allows to offer cutting edge technology that really meets the needs of farmers, so that really closes the gap, which are based and proven and work. Now, the second one is the selection of the right, or maybe put it between brackets, trustworthy partners. So a lot of people want to go in business in Nigeria. Nigeria is also known for their business mindset, but you need to know how to get to the right and trustworthy partners, as finding those will actually allow you to make use of an existing market system and network, which will help you in the long run. Of course, using the right outscaling or scaling approach, which will allow for successful acceptance of technologies. So a nice example of this could be, for example, EFLASAFE, where they used pull mechanism as a scaling approach to actually implement EFLASAFE within the Nigerian market and Africa-wide. So depending on the product, depending on your market, you need to have a good understanding of what kind of scaling approach are you going to use, and also in context of the partner. And the fourth one, and I'm particularly enthusiastic about this one actually, is integrating the job creation and youth employment. I mean, there's in a country like Nigeria where there is so incredibly much work unemployment, and so many young people who are willing, who are energetic, they're proactive, they are result driven. And this is, I think, like a human resource that many private sector industries should tap into even more. Of course, that's already been done, but maybe with a little bit more focus on, rather than selecting the best possible candidate, maybe also put more focus on training maybe lesser candidates so that they become experts. I mean, it's a vast country, and it really allows, integrating the youth employment really allows to go ahead. These are also young people who are willing to take a risk, who are willing to adopt and adapt. And I think a nice example of that is also the IATA Youth Agripreneurs, which were set up to pick up industries or companies, for example, the demo farms for the insect feeds, which I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so these are my four lessons learned. Once again, it might come across a little obvious, but it doesn't mean they're not less true. And that comes to the finalization of my 10 minutes. Once again, apologies if it went too fast. I didn't have time enough to go into detail of each and every company. But if you want to get more information, or if you want to partner with us, please feel free to reach out to either the CEO of BIP, Frederik Scheurs, or myself, especially in the context of soil analysis and water analysis and soil suitability surveys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Excellent, Niels. That was a very informative one. I really like the part about looking at the partnerships and also the youth employment aspect. It's very, very important. So I kindly want to remind our audience members that if you have any questions, please make sure you use the Q&A options so that we can address them at the end of this session. Now I would like to introduce you to our wonderful panel, consisting of Miss Linda Agbota. She is International Project Officer at NGN. We also have Mr. Meka Nwaboko, Director and Chief Operating Officer of Prime Agro Seeds. Mr. Giovanni Gallinari, who is the Area Sales Manager of Arable Spa, and Mr. Angelo Delalio, President of Sico Metal Nigeria Limited. It's great to have you all here with us today. My first question goes to Linda. Linda, are you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Cheers, Linda. So can you please explain to the audience what NGN is and how do you turn bugs into business?
Yes, so thank you. And NGN is New Generation Nutrition. And it was founded in 2012. And we think that we started thinking about what are the alternative options for producing animal products sustainably. So we transform bags into business in the sense that we provide training and technical expert knowledge in setting up insect farms. So NGN does not have insect farms of its own, but we help in setting up insect farms across the Netherlands and even in most African countries. And like you have seen in Neil's presentation, we have a collaboration with IITA BIP. And we also have our own animal food products, which are made from insects. And it's under the brand name Terabytes.
Okay, that's great. Thanks a lot for that, Linda. I think we'll have some interesting questions. I'll come back to you. So maybe we get Mr. Nwaboko. Mika?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mika. Okay, please, can you tell us a bit more about Prime Agro Seeds?
Yes, sure. Prime Agro Seeds is a seed and total farm management company. We are a joint venture with a Dutch company called Profita BV and some Nigerian investors. We are based in Benin City in Edo State. Our key activities include the breeding, production, and distribution of hybrid vegetable seeds. And in the near future, we intend to add to that portfolio some legumes such as cowpeas and soybeans. We also provide specialist technical support to either large commercial farms or cluster farmers. And those technical supports are from a range of agronomical practices. So we have specialists that work with us with 10, 15, 20 years of experience across Africa in farming. And so what we intend to do is to take the good quality hybrid seed varieties that we produce in combination with the technical support, including the training of farmers, to really boost the yield of the farmer. Because we see that that combination is actually, as you can imagine, much better than doing one without the other. So if you provide good quality seeds and have subpar agronomical practices, you will not achieve the yield potential that those seeds have been bred for. And also, if you have great practices, but you have suboptimal seeds, you will also you'll have a shortfall in what is really achievable from your farming operations. So that's why we've combined the two.
Okay, that's great, Mika. I think I have a lot of questions when it comes to seeds to ask you, especially considering our current work. But I'll give opportunity to Mr. Giovanni. Hello, Giovanni. Hello, Mr. Giovanni Gallinari.
Very well. Sure.
Yes, so Arol is a global player in delivering capping solutions for food products. Yeah, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, okay. Let's spend a few words about our group. Our group is, let's say, integration of different companies that are following different sectors, from the beverage to the food, to the cosmetics, to the chemicals, household and pharmaceuticals. In addition to the Italian parent company, we have branches all over the world, and we can count over 700 specialists. The progenitor, Arol Closures, founded in 1978, mainly deals with closures of all type of containers, capping, let's say, in general. We are now suppliers of all the major world players, especially in the beverage industry, but where we are recognized as a leader. Unfortunately, so far, Africa is, let's say, a new continent for all of us. Why? Because we sold several plants through the OEMs, so the food solutions providers, but no one directly. So actually the company decided to invest in this important region, especially in Nigeria now, to follow our roots, which is, they say, to become soon one of the bigger players on the market. We are located in all the west of Italy, nearby Turin, where, let's say, the land is almost dedicated to the beverage industry. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Giovanni. So talking about being a new continent, I would like to ask Mr. Angelo, you've been in Nigeria for a very long time. Yeah. And in multiple sectors. And you have a current entrepreneurial efforts into the agricultural sector, particularly dairy.
Dairy. Particularly dairy and milk as well, and milk. Okay. My name is Angelo Dell'Aglio, and I am president of Cecometal SRO, which is a company located in Czech Republic, near the border of Poland. But we are working as well from Italy and Libya. Our presence in Nigeria is dated back from the 2010, when I visited the area of Zamfara state, because we are involved in the precious metal and especially gold and silver mine. And we have done a lot of work there, but as you know, Zamfara state is not so easy state to be rich in the work. very huge problem, and we decided to stay in standby position because the trouble over there are so important. We are dealing above all with the other states in Nigeria, such as Niger and Ondo State, Edo State, and above all Kwara. But during the last 5 years, we have been called by the Organization of Development of West Africa region, DOWN, which is located in Ibadan, Oyo State, to deal with production of milk and cheese in the state, in the 6 states of southwestern Nigeria. Namely Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ondo. And our project is to produce 5.5 million of liters of milk per year, and above all 600 tons of cheese, special cheese. And the remaining some meats. Why we have been called for agency developer from Nigeria, in the southwestern Nigeria? Because as you know, as all people know, the Nigeria is lacking from the point of view of milk production, in the sense that currently 700 millions of liters of milk is lacking in Nigeria. This is why currently the milk at the market costs about $3 per liter, much more than European or American, because drastically is lacking the milk in Nigeria. Our project is to deal with the intervention and the support of European Commission, and especially from African Development Platform, in order to be able to support the investment, which is amount in the order of 40 million of euro. Is a good project, but not only in Ondo State, from which we received the memorandum of understanding directly from the governor, but in the state of southwestern Nigeria. And we are dealing with this industry in those areas.
Okay. Thank you so much. There seems to be a lot of opportunities for your company in the country. So
I am sure. Thank you.
I want to send a question. I think we have some questions coming. Thank you so much, Angelo. We have some questions coming into the box. But I think the first one we are getting is mainly for Linda. What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to the usage of insects for feed or for food?
I think the biggest misconception is because insects are associated with dirt and filth. And the areas that we have seen insects are not friendly to give us a good impression of what insects are and they can do. So people have the misconception that when we use insects for feed, it's likely that they transmit all kinds of diseases to the animal or the product that will come to humans. So I think that is the biggest misconception when it comes to insects. Yeah.
Okay, and just to be clear, that's not true, right?
Not at all, not at all.
Okay, and so why have you again chosen Nigeria? It will be interesting as part of the Insects for Feed partner. Why Nigeria?
Nigeria, because setting up the impact cluster in the first place is a follow-up of a research market study that was done in 2016, where there was the need for affordable animal feed, especially for poultry and the aquaculture sector. Because at the time, there were prices of the animal feed, especially fish meal and soybean, was increasing due to inflation. And at the same time, because of the market prices, people were adulterating the feed products that were coming on the market. When we look at Nigeria, we know that Nigeria has a huge economy, and the number of people who consume fish and poultry is relatively high as compared to other places in West Africa. Another option that we had was because there's IITA BIB in Nigeria, and also there's University of Ibadan, who is housing the Insect Museum in West Africa. So it was a very good country to set up the impact cluster when we were talking about insects and bringing it to the markets then.
Okay, thank you very much. So good population, reliable partners, and a good. For Giovanni, from your own between doing business in Nigeria and in other African countries, from your vast experience in African agribusiness space.
Actually, as I said before, this is, let's say, the first real time we come down in Africa as a group. Before, or so far, let's say, we have been suppliers or sub-suppliers of OEMs in terms of supplying our services and systems to the companies that are supplied the food plants. So this is why we decided to go straight away to the country, and mainly in Nigeria now, because we needed to improve our presence directly to the final customers. So let's say this is our first experience, real first experience in Nigeria. Why we decide to go to Nigeria? Because it's an incredible potential. So we know very well the potentiality of this country, not only because it's the biggest one in the region, also because the financial potentiality, the number of people that are living there, almost 230 million of people are living in Nigeria now. So for us, starting from last year, let's say in September, let's say is our new route to follow. Nigeria for us is the first country to mature in new regions.
Thank you so much about that. So I think I have some other questions here for Mika. And it's more about the ease of doing business. So when registering your company, which seems to be a joint venture between companies across different countries, when registering in Nigeria, are there any specific types of advice you can give to the audience or experience that you could share in trying to set up Prime Agro Seeds?
Yeah, sure. A few things I would put out there. I think through the program, we've heard from some of the speakers from the Netherlands mission here. We've heard from the Nigeria International Promotion Council. So all very good advice has been shared. So if I summarize it, I'll say it's good to indeed do your homework. So these platforms and contacts are important to reach out to understand what is required from you as an international investor in Nigeria. In our own experience, we also found that in trying to navigate what can maybe still seem like a complex approach of company formation in an environment. So I'm Nigerian, so I have more experience, I guess, in the Nigerian environment. But as a diaspora, I have lived quite a significant amount of my time outside of Nigeria. So I also needed to get some support in taking the right steps. So one of the things that we did, which really worked for us, was to partially outsource the company registration. We found through recommendations of contacts a reputable legal consultancy firm, which also was, in my view, a good value for money, that really walked us through it step by step. And I still remember a remark from one of my foreign partners or Dutch partners in the beginning to ask me how much would this all cost. And when I showed the quotation, he was pleasantly surprised. So that was one of the things that we did. That helped us a lot. That took a lot of concerns off our table or plate and allowed us to rely on professionals to help us do that. So that's one of the things I would recommend if you are considering setting it up. The other is, I mentioned already, to look at some of these platforms, but it's also important. A lot of the discussions today in various ways or forms has talked about having the right partnerships in place or the right partners. So it's important to ensure that in setting up your business, unless you have the strategic advantage of doing it as your independent, fully foreign-owned company, but partnership will help in terms of the in-country activities, but also the connects that you will need to make. In the absence of corporate partners, it is very important to find out if there are already sector groups. For instance, there is the Nigeria Agribusiness Group, which is a very active private sector player. And our interactions with the NABC has helped us a lot, but also in our sector, our interactions with the National Agricultural Seed Council, which is the subsector body that governs the seed industry in Nigeria, was very instrumental to ensure that not just the corporate aspects of setting up the company, but the regulatory aspects was also sufficiently clear, and we were able to cover those. Just some personal reflections from my side.
Okay, thanks a lot. Very valid point, especially on the National Agricultural Seed Council, because as the NABC, we've been working closely with the Seed Council on the Nigerian-Netherlands Seed Partnership, which we can always discuss a bit more about as it relates to Prime Agro seeds. But that brings us to the next questions, which we have here for Prime Agro seeds, which is how does local breeding of high quality seeds contribute to the Nigerian seed and vegetable sector rather than importing that?
Yes, I could talk for a whole day on that, but I'll keep it
very briefly
for the time. So just a few things I'll put a few stats I'll put in the room. One of it is, of course, we've talked about the size of the population of Nigeria. You will also find that crop production is a much bigger part of the agriculture industry. So that means that there's a thriving business there. Angelo talked about deficiency of milk. We see such statistics also in the deficiency of vegetables. So the World Health Organization estimates that countries like Nigeria will struggle to catch up in the vegetable consumption that is required per person. The other is that you see that if you look at the yields that you get from Nigeria and you compare that to other African regions, so in Nigeria and West Africa, you compare that to other African regions, you will see a tens of factor of lower yield coming out from some vegetable crops like tomatoes, peppers, and so on. Now, all of this wrapped together there is also the estimation that up to 50% in some parts of that yield gap that you're seeing comes from the type of seeds that farmers use. So breeding seeds for us is to close that gap, but also to close it by locally breeding it so that we also try to address the access by the cost of accessing those seed varieties. When you compare it to present seed varieties, but when they are imported, there is obviously a supply chain that needs to be catered for. There is then the price that you can access it for, but there's also the specificity of those seeds that are bred to the conditions and the environment that they need to be used. And Nigeria is one country, but very diverse in cultures, characteristics, but also weather and climate. So these are some of the things that came into play when we were taking the decision to breed the seeds, but also breed them in country.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Mika. It's been very wonderful insight. There's a lot of questions coming in, which we might send personally to everyone. I think we have one last very brief question before we can go to the closing. So I'm trying to look through more questions here. And I think yes, so the last question here will be going to Zubairu Abdullahi, and there's no way you can go about farming it today without mentioning the current insecurity that's affecting the country. What would you say to assuage the concerns of individuals and potential foreign investors looking to go into the agri sector, given the high incentives we've seen for the sector and the high interest in going into the agribusiness? Mr. Zubairu, if you have a minute to just put a comment into that.
Okay, can I talk, or do you want me to respond?
Yes, please. Just, if you can talk,
I just
please.
want to, yeah, I just want to say that the government is fully aware and highly worried with this situation of insecurity because of this armed banditry. Yesterday, I was in the National Assembly, and then the government is talking about composing and deploying agro rangers. We already have some agro rangers, but they were actually deployed to man facilities relating to agriculture, like industries and all this thing. Now, there is a growing concern. The federal government is thinking of deploying a large number of agro rangers there and arming them so that they will provide the necessary security in the rural areas. We hope by doing that one, all the fears will be cleared. And then you know that the banditry itself, it has some specific areas where it is happening. There are many other areas in Nigeria that issue of insecurity is not a challenge. All what we said is that the space is wide and clear. There is a particular section where there is insecurity and there are areas where it's not there. So the space is there for an investor to select wherever he wants to go. You gave me 1 minute, so let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zubairu. That's all the time we have today. It's been a very engaging panel. It's been very insightful for all involved. I would have loved to interface for longer. So I would like to thank all our speakers for the session, Mr. Abdullahi, Mr. Niels, Ms. Linda, Mr. Mika, Mr. Giovanni, and Mr. Angelo. It was a pleasure and honor to be joined by you all, and I thank you for taking your time to share your insights and experiences and perspectives with us. As earlier mentioned, please make sure to share your feedback on this session on the feedback tab. Make sure to enter our next session as well, which is a very interesting one on the Nigerian renewable energy sector. And that will have a closing remarks around 4 p.m. for that. On behalf of NABC and Piemonte, thank you all for joining us and goodbye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.